What's up everybody, we back at it again with another Magnum Quest video, and in this one it's all about progression, specifically early/mid game. There's been a lot of newer players joining the game with the iOS release, so I'll try to help you out with some popular formations. Let's get it. So it's definitely been a while since I've started out in this game. I played since the Android release, about around October 2020. So I'll do my best to try and remember the early game. It's definitely been a while. First tip here, as I've seen the mistake mentioned in Discord, don't level more than 5 heroes. It's a waste of resources. There's no need to because of this feature here known as the squad. When you open this up, it's going to look a little different than mine. You'll have 5 hero slots, and then all the heroes on this side will take the level of your lowest hero that's part of the core 5. The reason why mine is different is once you reach all those 5 heroes to level 300, it changes to what you see here, and instead you simply level all your heroes at once. Second tip is from my experience with similar idle AFK games. With this squad feature, other games call it differently, is you want to focus on your main DPS first, basically your carry, and then work on your other 4 according to your needs, basically what you're lacking on. If your team survivability is lacking, maybe up the levels on your tank or support. If you use secondary DPS, which I'm assuming you will be, and DPS is an issue, up the levels on that. It's all based on what you're stuck on. Don't worry so much if you make a mistake and level the wrong hero, or the one you chose isn't making the difference you thought. You can reset your hero for only 10 dragon shards and get back all your resources used on that hero. The third tip, don't get discouraged if you hit a progression wall. Like with many AFK idle games, it's all about either patience or money. So wait it out, come back to collect those idle rewards, and then use the resources to up the level of your heroes. Alright, so I'm going to give you a starter formation to aim for, and then name some hero alternatives in case you weren't lucky with obtaining them. So the starter formation I'm going to go with is Ares, Fair, Alwyn, Gaia, and Ione. As you progress, do summons depending on the stage. This will change a bit, so I'll break this up formation and explain into a bit more depth for understanding at the end of the video, and also suggest some late game formations briefly. So here are the pros. You got 2 very strong DPS, Gaia and Ares. So Gaia, even though she is a silver hero, ascended to gold is very, very strong. However, because she's not initially a gold hero, she is level capped, meaning 3 stars and level 200. Usually in these types of games, if a hero is limited, like this, their usefulness wears off quite early. But like I mentioned in my previous videos, I've seen players use her well into chapter 19, so you'll definitely be getting very good use out of her. Your main focus here should be getting her max to level 200 ASAP, more priority over anyone, so level her up as far as you can till you need to level up heroes to progress. Do that, then come back to Gaia and continue. Ares will become a monster, but starting off, Gaia will do your DPS you need for fast progression, easier to ascend, and get maxed out as well. Couple reasons why you should rush her. DPS carry on steroids. Her ultimate Wild Fury at level 151, she gains the leech effect, translating 30% damage to HP, which greatly improves her survivability. Gravel Catapult, this pairs great with her ultimate, with the haste increasing her attack speed, so she will be doing autos like crazy, which do AoE damage. Lucky Strike at level 176, the additional damage dealt increases to 16% of Gaia's max HP. This is a big boost from 8% to 12%, then 16%. The damage will be noticeable 100%. Moving over to Ares, you'll be hearing a lot about Ares if you're a new player. He's this game's game changer pretty much. A couple of reasons here why he is super important later, but not as first priority. He's an annoying hero who has an invulnerability and crazy damage. The reason why Gaia is rushed first is because Gaia is much easier to get maxed for maximum damage with little effort, while Ares is harder to get copies of since he isn't a silver hero. And if you compare the level 200 with Gaia's level 200, she just outshines him by a lot. Specific levels of skills need to be unlocked to help with his survivability, because early on he's going to be probably dying pretty fast. Level 3 of his ultimate adds the leech effect. 40% of damage translated to HP needs level 201, which I believe requires him to be 4 stars. Level 3 of Endless Fury gives a total of 8 seconds for his death avoidance effect, which is he's immune to CC and damage. So when his ultimate, because it gives life leech plus any supports you run with him, this gives him the time to get back his full HP. This needs level 276, so I'm assuming this is 6 stars. It might be 5. I've kind of lost track of this. I don't really know for sure, but it's around 5 or 6 stars. Regardless though, he needs investment, meaning copies, And that takes either money for summons, which still requires luck, or the deluxe pass, so that at the end of the month you can get those 60 hero medals, given enough to get any hero besides Kato's or Sir, or luck with saving resources as free to play, and getting with summons. For hero alternatives, for this would be Ares. Gaia is a must-have. I don't really see any hero alternatives for her right now. In this situation, Gaia will be strong enough to carry your progression, so you can opt in for more support if you choose to, such as if you have the wild hero Harry. He's a great team buffer and has a built-in defense passive skill for tankiness. He's a very strong hero. I used him a lot when he was a free trial hero and boosted my progression by a substantial amount. His ultimate, Master of War, inspires 2 allies, all allies at level 3, and they gain attack and haste, which is huge. The Fortress hero Arthur is another great team buffer. However, the shields he provides aren't a lot unless you get stars on him / good gear, because the shield is based off his attack percentage. The Forest hero Soul, another silver to gold hero. He's got stun CC, enemy haste debuff, and a shield. I think this is a really good hero, and a lot of people sleep on him. Or the Abyss hero Katos. Unfortunately, this game isn't as giving like it is with Sir. No codes for Katos copies, and referral system is for Sir. However, he's a very strong tank with his ultimate Roar of Horror, silencing all enemies, as well as his Searing Whip of Hell skill that executes an enemy upon death, depending on their HP percentage. You can also go the secondary DPS route, so if you want another secondary DPS, you could use the Shadow hero Durla, as she can take the role as a DPS or a tank due to her skill kit. It's all based off using her ultimate for damage / survivability, as well as the dead enemies, which gives her attack plus defense buffs. She's also available in the trial shop, so she should be easier to ascend. Now you got the very popular Fair as tank. So Fair in general is rather whatever if you look at his skills. I've said this before, and he's useless on bosses, but the reason why 99.9% of players will say you need him is the progression efficiency boost you will get when pairing him with either Ares or Gaia, or both skyrockets. A tip for this hero is you're definitely going to want to toggle single hero skill auto on. You do so by going to Profile, Game Settings, and then clicking here. What this does is allow you to manually choose what heroes you want to use their ultimates when their energy is full, and when, rather than having this off and then it just automatically triggers it. The reason for this is if you look at his ultimate skill Divine Shield, it knocks down the enemies, essentially knocking them back, spreading them out, which is the complete opposite of why he synergizes so well with your 2 DPS carries. Fatal Attraction pulls in the enemies as well as reduces their attack. Now this is a bit tricky here because sometimes it may fail, which I believe is due to the enemy hero levels compared to your Fair, and low hit, and because of the enemy positioning can throw off how it works. You may need to do a bit of trial and error here of his positioning to be able to pull in the enemies you want. Basically you want to have Gaia in the middle or the back left or right, depending if you have Fair in the front left or right. So when he pulls in the enemies, they group up and she can auto attack AoE damage the crap out of them. It works the same way with Ares, as he can just spin with his ultimate and hit multiple targets easier. Some players will say stars are not needed on him to do his job, but depending on your campaign / dungeon progress, he may die instantly without even getting a chance to pull in the enemies if his star levels aren't high enough. So some hero alternatives, you're going to want to really aim for this hero. If unlucky with obtaining him early on, he's also purchasable in the ladder shop. Currency for this is from the Floating City ladder, but other heroes you could swap in for could be what I mentioned earlier for Ares, depending if you either A, got Ares, so you didn't need to have a hero alternative, and B, you went for either a secondary DPS rather, or a tank, so you would just use one of those for a hero alternative. And finally, you got 2 strong supports, Alwyn and Ione. The reason why I suggest Alwyn is because, well, she is of the Forest faction, so with this suggested formation, you will be getting the faction aura bonus of 3 Forest and 2 Wild, equaling 15% attack and 10% HP. Obviously this will vary depending on what you have to work with, but I just wanted to mention this as a lot of players don't know about the faction auras. She's one of the top healers in the game, so it'll boost your team's overall survivability, and because of her Bewitch skill, which randomly picks an enemy and bewitches them, making them attack their own team, is super handy depending on RNG and what enemy gets this, because that's one less enemy you have to deal with, and it's freebie damage to make the fight easier. I'll get to the hero alternatives after, but she isn't like a must-have, but very useful, but tends to fall off quickly as you progress and get stronger. Now looking at Ione, I've mentioned this before. She's basically a must-have in, I'm assuming, like any formation, because the support utility she brings is invaluable. Her entire skill kit is great, especially when you reach level 3 on her vines to the rescue skill at level 276. One of her main draws is this skill, because when one of your heroes takes fatal damage, that hero gets put in vines and heals, but at level 3 this skill can be triggered twice in the battle instead of once. Top this off with other skills of the entangle effect, rendering the enemy targets unable to move or attack. Some hero alternatives, hopefully you are lucky to get Ione, but some others, maybe if you want to replace Alwyn, I think could be good here, is the divinity hero Sir. Sir's great, and if you didn't know the code MQ123, you will get a free copy. If you don't know how to redeem codes, you go to your profile and then just click redemption codes. You can also get a Sir copy from the referral system seen here. Click here to copy your link and then have a new player use it to download and install the game, etc. This only works with new players. What I have seen players do is simply make other accounts and use their own link to level up 3 other heroes to 50. This is obviously time consuming, but if you have the time, you can go for it. Along the way, you can see there is milestone rewards at 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. You get Sir when all 3 of your referral players reach 50. If someone uses your link and quits before 50, you can remove them and add another, but you will not get the rewards again. So if a player got to level 20 and quit, the next player uses it, you won't get those rewards and start from 30. So other supports can be, like I said, the divinity hero Sir. She's got a bit of everything: damage support, tank. Another similar situation like with Durla, as you can have her in the backline or frontline due to her skill kit. Sir's ultimate, Dragon's Awakening, is good damage. She's got support buffs with attack percentage and heals, and tank capability with taking reduced damage. You got the forest hero Oshishi, more situational here, but still her ultimate, Tide Chorus, AoE sleep with sedate effect, and applies the vulnerable effect, which enemies take more damage if you didn't know that. The ability to take out the hero from the fight at the beginning, it can't be attacked or attack, has a stun, and buffs the highest attack heroes with the haste buff. You got the Forest Hero 5, pretty much a staple in many formations. You're going to see a lot of him as well. The reason why I didn't place him for Hero Alternative above for DPS is because I considered him more to be support. Although he is a damage dealer, I find he really needs gears/stars to shine, and I don't expect him to be my damage carry in my formation. So for the most part, many players early will just be using him for his haste/energy team buff. His skill Scurry, allies at beginning of the battle gain haste, and at level 3 they will also get energy. Super useful here, will allow everyone to reach their ultimate faster, providing more damage/support output. You got the forest hero Amelia. She's pretty similar to Fi, except less damage but more CC. She has her skill Goose Trick that turns an enemy into a goose, taking more damage, plus same idea as Fi. Has a team haste buff for surrounding allies. You got your fortress hero Cinia. She's more situational, and as I find, she's typically used more on bosses, but if you do choose to use Sir, she has great synergy as Cinia gives energy to all allies plus favors backline heroes. You got the forest hero Garaf. Now this hero will most likely be replaced faster than others because he's a silver to gold, but it's easier to get copies in max ascension. His skill Tide's Blessing gives all allies the leech effect, improving survivability, but the main draw here is his lightning strike attack, which drops lightning that stuns enemies, providing CC. Or the wild hero Naomi. Once again, she's more situational, as I find she's typically used more on enemy stages with shields or multiple Ares. The reason for this is her ultimate Dragon Fall has the disperse effect, which removes all buffs, so those annoying Arthur shields or Ares invulnerability during Endless Fury. So I'm sure there's other potential heroes here you can use for hero alternatives, whether for the DPS, tank, or support, but I just wanted to highlight some of these ones. So after all this explaining, let's get into the typical formation setups early/mid and have it transition into late game. So the starter formation: Ares, Fair, Alwyn, Gaia, and Ione. If you want to utilize the free Sir copy, since she is a strong hero, you can replace Alwyn. You will not lose the faction aura buff you had, which was 3-2 split, attack 15% and HP 15%, because Sir is of the divinity faction and can be considered to be anything. Keep in mind, hero positioning makes a difference, so if you fail a stage, move around with the placements, especially Fair, or utilize situational supports that I mentioned, such as Oshishi or Nami. As you start to summon, progress further maybe in mid-game, you may get a copy of, let's say, Fi, and this is where you're going to maybe want to get rid of Ione, since your DPS will increase a lot with the haste buff Fi brings to your team, so you could have something that looks like this: Ares, Fair, Sir, Gaia, and Fi. You keep the 3-2 split faction aura as usual, but this is a more DPS heavy approach with less survivability. So if you feel you're not able to smash the stages and dying, bring back your Ion, or maybe utilize some of the other support hero alternatives I mentioned previously. Once again, as you continue to summon, progress further maybe now into the late game, here's where you're going to be dropping Gaia and utilizing more support for your Ares or maybe Durla. I've seen some players use her depending on the situation, but I'm not really too familiar with her typical setups. Your team could look something like this: Harry, Fair, Ion, Ares, and Phi. I do try to take advantage of those faction auras, so you can see I'm still utilizing the 3-2 split faction aura for the boosted stats. So hopefully this helps out any players looking for some early / mid game progression formation ideas. As you notice, there's a lot of forest heroes suggested, and that is why I feel your biggest bang for your buck in regards to faction summoning is the forest. Then I would go into Wild, then Fortress. These heroes I typically use more on bosses rather than campaign, and then Shadow. Very few heroes in this faction I ever use in campaign or bosses besides Durla, so it's mostly for the Shadow faction dungeon. As always, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for future videos, and stay tuned for the next one.